of Disruptive Education. I'm Anisha Nadkar, AOC, Global Education and Training Institution. Change happens. It is rightly quoted that change is the only constant in our life. Change will help us to embrace change and see the beauty in new and help you to stay positive. Our today's guest, Miss Sonia Gidla, is working as principal in Douglas Memorial High Secondary School. She has been an English teacher for over 8 years. She writes poetries and motivational quotes. She is also a lead vocalist for music band Disciples Christ. Her article on education leadership was selected to be first ASISE conference. Today, she is talking about the power and necessity of skill development in changing time. I request all the viewers to please post their question in the chat box. Ma'am will answer it later after her session. Ma'am,
Okay.
can you
Okay.
hear me?
Yes, I can. Bits and parts were lost because of the internet connectivity issues, I think. But thank you so much, Miss Anisha Natka, for that wonderful introduction. And a very good evening to all the viewers out there of the Facebook Live community of GETI. Very good evening to you, and I'm here to extend my heartfelt thankfulness to GETI Getty for giving me this wonderful opportunity of sharing my views, my beliefs, and my worldview today with the Facebook Live community. So, today's topic of discussion is the power and the necessity of skill development in changing times. So, I'm going to keep this as short and concise as possible because I don't want you to snooze through the session. So, I'll keep it as interesting as possible. So, skill development, a very, very interesting topic, and a very, very important skill that we all need to have today, right now, is to listen. So, first thing that I would like to get it clear and straight, what are skills? Skills are something that you're good at. It is your ability, your expertise, your forte, your capabilities, anything that you love to do, anything that you would want to hone, anything that you're interested in. So there are two kinds of skills that I know about. That is God gifted skills that you're born with, and then there are skills that you are interested in that you go to different places of education and training centers to get trained for. So given the current situation, the unprecedented and challenging time that we're living now because of COVID-19 pandemic, I feel that um, this this virus has given us a huge blow on our faces. It has made us stop to think, to reflect, and look back what has happened and what is going on. So let me talk about the skills that's inside of you right now. So right now, what's happening on social media? Social media is on fire. So you have seen people coming up with videos on cooking, on dancing, on singing, on blogging, writing, painting, photography, you just name it. So social media has never been so colorful and so bright as it is now. Why? Because this situation of COVID-19 pandemic has made everyone do some soul searching. So they are sitting back and they are reflecting and they are exploring themselves and their inner strengths, and that is a good thing. So I have known people and few of my friends who go out every day for their jobs. They sit at their desk, stare at the computer screen for hours together. I'm talking about the 9 to 5 jobs. And then they don't have any sort of, no sense of contentment or fulfillment. But now, since we are in lockdown, and people are getting a lot of opportunities and chances to do what they want to do what makes them happy, to do what they're interested in. So that's why I was saying that social media is bursting out with colors, bursting out with joy and happiness, because we're getting to see the other side of people which we wouldn't have seen otherwise, because we are held back with our responsibilities. We're held back because of certain crisis situations, because of financial problem, and there's nothing wrong in that, because we have our own livelihoods, we have our own source of income, we need to support our families. So there's nothing wrong with that. But once in a while, we should always look at ourselves in the mirrors and ask if we are really happy, and if this is what we really want to do with our lives. So today I'm going to talk to you about another two skills, that is soft skill and hard or technical skills. Now, what are hard or technical skills? Hard or technical skills are something that you can get trained for, that can be transacted in a classroom, that can be exchanged, that can be taught to you in a classroom. But soft skills are more of your personal attributes, something that you develop over ages and through experiences. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about those soft skills before I move on to the hard or the technical skills. Now, when I first started the session, I told you that right now you need to do a very important thing, that is to listen. Now, in this fast changing, rapid changing, fast paced world filled with competition, stiff competition, people are out there who always want to speak up. There are people who are opinionated, who would want to share their worldview, get noticed, get popular. Everything is fine. But once in a while, we need to sit back, observe, and listen to someone else. Now, I know that a lot of successful people do a lot of talking, but more than talking, they listen. So this, if you have this skill of listening, of observing, if you can just sit on a couch and listen to someone for hours together, that is also a skill. That means you could be a very good counselor, or you could be a very good teacher. There are career opportunities where people have this fantastic skill of listening. Now, the next skill that I would like to talk about is the skill of giving, of being forthcoming, of being charitable, of being flexible and approachable. How many people are like that? Tell me today. Very rare. So, if you have that skill of giving, if you have that skill of accepting everybody, of loving, of having a heart filled with kindness, I think you would do very well in the field of social service. So, why am I telling you all of this to the teachers, to the educators, or the students, or the parents and guardians who are listening to me today? There are students who are high achievers, who are rank holders, who are 90% achievers, and there's nothing wrong with that. Very good. They get A plus, A plus plus in all of in all of their papers. But there are students who are mediocre students, who are low achievers, and I feel there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, everybody is born to be different from each other. You're special and unique in your own way. So, what I have, you might not have, and what you have, I might not have. So, we are born with different skills. So, my discussion for today is hone those skills, sharpen those skills, you know, build up those skills without fear, without letting anybody drag you down or tell you that you're not any good. So, the other skill that I would like to talk about, one of the soft skills, is being artistic, or a person who would like to create something fresh every day for the world. So you have a lot to offer. Like, you could be a music artist, you could be a lyricist, you could be a writer, you could be a painter, you could be a sculptor, you could be a photographer, you just name it. So these are the few skills, soft skills, that I wanted to talk about. The next soft skill, or the life skills, which are very, very important, which are not written in the textbooks, or the teachers don't tell students to note it down, because we are so much about rote learning, repetitive learning. So these things are not found in notebooks and textbooks. So here, as educators, we need to give students real life experiences so that they are taught to be good at these skills. So the next skill that I would like to talk about is the skill of having compassion, empathy, and having a big and a sensitive heart. Look at the current scenario in America. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. People are so prejudiced, and people of the African American descent, they are facing racial discrimination because of colorism. People who face prejudice because of their skin color, that is known as colorism, if you did not know that. So That's happening there. Why? Because there has been for long, if we see, go back in history, there has been a systemic racism and there has been white supremacy going on for so long. Now let's leave US and come to India. What's happening in India? India is a big racist country, starting from the filthy matrimonial ads that we see on newspaper to the fairness cream ads that we see on television, and the school situation where students pit up against each other and they bully each other so much so that it leads to suicidal thoughts. We know that nowadays students are suffering from anxiety, from depression, from panic attacks, you just name it. So, why is this happening? Because children are not taught well. Children are not taught to cope with these sort of pressures or struggles in life. So, we need to teach them how to be compassionate, how to have empathy, and how to have a big or a sensitive heart. Now let me talk about the boys locker room incident on Instagram. It was an online group on Instagram where they're belittling girls, they are demeaning mothers, they're talking all nonsense about a girl's physique. So belittling women and discriminating against them and treating girls like sex objects. This is not just limited or exclusive to India, it's happening everywhere. So, where do we start? Do we find these in textbooks? No, we don't. Because in India, everything is hush hush. We don't want to talk about sex education. We don't want to talk about these sensitive things, to children, because we feel that, oh my God, this is going to create a sensation in the school or maybe in the community. People are going to talk against us. So, what am I trying to say is create some sort of situation or talk to them, give them a task or an assignment where they at least get to know that this is right and this is wrong, because these things you will not find in a textbook. You have to teach children anyway. So let's talk about the backward communities, what's happening with the Dalit community, how people condemn them, how people loathe them, hate them. So these things start not just in school, it has to begin in family, because I feel as a parent, parents are the biggest educators, the first educators to any child. So you need to buckle up. You cannot say that this is not my job because I've put my child in a school and it's only a teacher's or a principal's or an administrator's job to get things done, to teach my child. So all learning, basic learning, core learning takes place at home first, which is then carried forward in school and then in life. So these are all the life lesson, life building skills that I'm talking about. Okay, now let's move on to something else now. Skills of independent learning. Now the current scenario, we are all dependent on online learning. So some are doing Zoom classes, some are doing WebEx, Microsoft, some are doing Google Classroom. So there are so many options, but here there is no physical presence of a teacher or a student. So teacher is at her home or at her office or at the school, and student is obviously studying inside his or her room. There's no physical capacity, there is no transaction going on, everything is happening online. So how do you create opportunities to build some life or soft skills? Like leadership skills are very, very important. Skills on confidence, collaborative skills, analytical skills. Then you have communication skills, organizational skills. Then you have skills that will help you work under pressure, because I know that nowadays students have become so fragile that they break down for small problems, for small complaints. They run to every teacher, they run to their counselor. There's nothing wrong in that. Every student is different, every individual is different, but we need to equip them with these skills so that they can function better in life. So more than IQ, I think EQ and SQ is more important. What is EQ and SQ? EQ is your um, emotional quotient and social quotient. Emotional quotient meaning emotional intelligence. So I feel these two factors and these two skills are really missing in a child's life, because we are so much about rote learning, we're so much about bookish knowledge, we're so much about getting marks, getting into a good college, getting into a good university, which is all good, but why are we neglecting these simple basic values of life which will actually help you in the long run? What is the point? There's a um, verse in the Bible. What is the point if you gain the whole world but you lose your own life? So first save yourself. Charity begins at home. So first hone and develop and build and up in these skills, and then I feel that everything else will fall into place. So these soft skills like leadership skills are very very important, because once you're out of school and you're going to a college or a university, you have to pass, or you need to clear through certain levels of interviews, of GDs, group discussions, of facing a new world, of facing a new place, meeting new people. Some people can't just do that. I have seen so many students who get a 95%, but they have no idea about coping with life pressures. There are other people like who are getting a 40% or who have failed, who are dropouts in school, but they're doing far better than that 90% candidate. No offense to anybody. I'm just saying that do have a strike a balance between the two, between your personal life where you hone all of these skills, and also your professional life where you have your academic qualifications and you have your certificates, which looks all well. All right. Now, after this, I would just like to talk about a little bit on the loopholes of the current education system in India. Like I was telling that India is so much about, now I feel the face and the game of education is changing slowly and gradually, but mostly we are into repetitive learning and we are into rote learning. That is why once the child graduates from school, college has so much of vastness and bulk in curriculum and syllabus that the real education, the essence of real education is lost. So what happens is, when you when students go to different places to look for jobs, they have poor or very low rate of employment opportunities because they don't have industrial training. They don't have these developed skills in them. They don't have those set of skills which the recruiter or the employer would want. So what I would like to say is, we need to narrow down, or we need to close the skill gap. What is a skill gap? The skills that an employer or a recruiter is wanting from the person who will be working from him, and what the person who wants a job is going to give, or is going to provide or render his or services. So the gap should be narrowed down. So this is what I want to say, that if we focus less on repetitive learning and focus more on meaningful learning and focus on these sort of skills, I feel that there'll be more job opportunities if there's proper industrial training, if there's proper research and development in India. I know that when it comes to atomic energy and scientific science and technological development, and anything about nuclear weapons and everything, if I'm not wrong, India is going great guns with all of those researches and developments. But when it comes to, let's say, textile or steel, in those areas, in those fields, we are still lagging behind because we're still dependent on foreign technology and foreign equipment. So I feel that we need to up our game, and we need to give our children, our students, the opportunity not to migrate elsewhere because US or certain place called Japan or China has a better research lab, has recognized me and values my skills, and has been respectful to me. But in India, I have no value, I have no respect. So what happens, these students then they migrate to different countries because of better opportunities. So I feel that as a country we must retain these human resources who are so talented. I feel that our Indian citizens, our students, they're so talented, they're so skillful. So these little loopholes, these little difficulties that we have, we need to overcome. And I feel that in the coming days, with the Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship, uh, students are getting the opportunities to enroll in such programs where they're being able to build up and hone these skills. So now let's quickly move on to the technical skills, or the hard skills that I was talking about. So technical skills are something that's very practical, mechanical, and something related to maths and scientific tasks. So you know that the data industry is really, really big. So every industry relies on data. So they need people with a certain skill set. Like suppose there are people who look into algorithms, there are people who look into calculations, analytical skills, database design, big data modeling, modification, etc. Then I know about coding and programming because our school encourages students to practice coding and programming, and every other school I know has started robotics now and is giving children the kind of experience they need to practice artificial intelligence or augmented reality, whatever. So with coding and programming also you need skills like applications and certifications, coding, computing, configuration, design and development. Then social media management and digital marketing is also very popular, is a big thing right now. So you have so many skill sets that can be used when you go for job opportunities, employment opportunities, like content management system, blogging, like I was talking about. Please do blog. If you have a lot to share with people, please do blog your personal life experiences or anything that you would like to share. Networking, digital photography, digital media, and then need not say what we are doing right now, Facebook Live, social media platforms like Facebook, Twitter, Insta, LinkedIn, then web analytics. So all of these are different sorts of skill sets that you can think of and you can try. Because like I said, if you are not academically bright, there's nothing wrong with that, because what I know you might not know, what you know I might not know. We're all different people. God has made us differently, and he will never go wrong in his artwork. So we are all beautiful people, we are all blessed people, we have some talent or the other. It's just that you need to see what you are good at. Don't follow everybody blindly, or do not take advices blindly. Be mindful, think, be curious, research is very important. Research. And I feel that as educators we need to stop feeding our students, spoon feeding our students with words or with your knowledge, with your advices. Yes, think them to learn. Give them the space to breathe, to think, to learn. So that is what I wanted to say. And the last thing that I would like to say, and then end my session, like I said, I'll keep it very short and simple. When it comes to skill development, the most important thing is tacit knowledge. Now, tacit knowledge is something that cannot be transacted, that cannot be transferred, that cannot be evaluated, it cannot be measured or quantified. What do I mean by tacit knowledge? Let me give you a very basic example. Um, if you are a foodie and if you would like to test your culinary skills someday, if you watch MasterChef, of course, you would know Gordon Ramsay. He's like a celebrity chef, and he owns a Michelin star restaurant also all over the world. So or maybe let's take Martha Stewart. They're excellent chefs, celebrity chefs. Now, they have their own cooking channels, they have their own cookbooks. So as a budding chef, you can take down their recipe, you can watch their show, take down everything step by step. But the kind of mac and cheese or steak and mashed potato Gordon Ramsay or Martha Stewart can make, you can never make. That is what is tacit knowledge, something that cannot be transferred, something that cannot be measured or quantified. This comes through age, wisdom, experience, and practice. Now, let me give you another example, like playing a piano or riding a bike. You will have a lot of trainers teaching you, but it is you finally who needs to hone that skill. You need to build that skill. Be confident, fearless, and go out there, jump, because the world is your oyster and you can scale great heights and reach the stars. So that is what I wanted to say. I feel that with age, everyone needs to develop on their tacit knowledge, because that cannot be transferred. That's only you and you that needs to work on. Believe in yourself. And finally, I would like to say that be happy, make people happy, and be useful and skillful in the world. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, you can put up those questions.
Uh,
I'll feel
yes,
free
ma'am.
to.
I have a question for you. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Yes, I can.
Ma'am, in classroom, how can a teacher inculcate all these skills in student? The soft
In
skills you
Okay,
talked
okay.
about.
Just give you an example. Like I'm an English teacher. I teach classes 11 and 12. So when I'm teaching Shakespeare to them, I just don't blindly read the text and I just don't give them explanation because they can find that on Google. They can find that in any of those, guidebooks. I teach them everything line by line, but with that I also teach them life lessons. Like Shakespeare talks about sacrifice, talks about human nature, talks about love, talks about life, talks about the vices, of human nature. There's so many things that he's explored through his work of art, through his books. So he's spoken about Roman mythology, spoken about Greek mythology, he's spoken about Bible. There's so many things that you can learn from this. So when I'm teaching them, obviously I teach based on context, but I also sometimes divert, a little bit digress, and I give them a little bit of hints of life lessons and learning experiences from there. So I feel that as a teacher, every time you need not stick to that book. You need to think outside the box. You need to think outside the book and then make it so interesting that the children, they look forward to your class every time you come.
True. And ma'am, I want to know you told us about the skill gap when they
Hmm.
go out for the to search jobs. There is a gap. So
Yeah.
how to fill the gap? What's your idea for that?
That's what I'm
In
saying. This is
classroom, how
the
can we?
problem in India. That's what I'm saying. That market wants something else and you have something else. So no man, you see so many people who have graduated. They have the degrees, they have the certificates, they have all the knowledge in the world, but they cannot practice it because practical approach, pragmatic approach is not there. Then how will the child know? That's why vocational training is very very important. Many schools follow this, I know, but many schools don't follow this. I feel that every school, majority of schools, should introduce these courses so that children can take up if they're interested. And there's just not the mindset of the teachers or the students. I feel the parents should also be encouraging and supportive of this because they feel that if my child gets a 90%, I'm happy, or kuch nahi chahiye. But the technical skills that
True.
you require, the skill sets that you require to go out in the world and give your services, if you don't have those skills, then why will the employer hire you? Because ultimately we are graduating from school and then from college and university to get into a job or to start a business or to create your own empire. How will you do that? Not just from textbooks. Yeah, you need to have practical knowledge, because I know in USA, countries like USA and Japan, they start as early as pre-primary, as early as primary. So there's less of theory, more of practical practicals. That's what I'm saying. That India is slowly, I mean, day by day, it's changing in its methods. I mean, there's a drastic change right now with the syllabus is being ratified and created. It's long and exhaustive. CISC curriculum is fantastic, but I feel we have a long way to go. Yeah.
Thank
Anything
you
else?
so much, ma'am, for your
Okay. Thank you so much for
thank you
inviting me.
so much for your valuable time, ma'am. It was a nice session, really very helpful for the teachers and principals as well.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
I
much.
every bit of it. Thank you.
Thank you.